Good afternoon, morning, whatever, everybody, and welcome back to another session of Anatomy of a Trade. And today I'm Franz Herr. I'm joined by Eric Cosway, who is another contributor at Wyckoff Analytics, a student like myself, multiple times in WTC2, and a really great take on ability to take the markets and put a Wyckoff interpretation on them. So welcome, Eric. And why don't we jump into today's trade, which is a trade in American superconductor, symbol AMSC, by another Eric in the WTC2 summer session, Eric P. So take it away, Eric.
Thank you, Frost. Great to be here. There are a lot of Erics in our community. And so congrats, Eric, for submitting this trade. A couple things about this trade. We are in a 3-hour interval, so that's about two volume spikes per day. And as Frost said, we're here at AMSC, and notice Eric has gone long here on these positions. So a couple things, Frost, that I'm going to do to get oriented to this chart is I'm just going to set up, as I usually do, in this case, reverse trend lines, just to get my orientation of this reaction to the downside. So I'll put these in here. And what I'm noticing first, this reaction is a little choppy and doesn't show a lot of great supply because it comes across, there's demand here, a little overbought condition, comes back down, there's good demand in this area. So kind of a choppy supply, and the volume is really not that high either. This does resolve here with a stopping action here, but more importantly, there's this change of behavior that sets up the trading range. So from what I see at this point, there's a change of behavior with a good selling here, volume ticks up, selling right down, confirming the stopping action here. And those 2 points would be my anchor point of resistance that I would draw right across here. As Eric's identified, this for him is phase A. And you can see what happens in phase A is there's just this choppy, very tight trading range action in here. There's no result to the downside. It's all holding at support. And there's this up thrust here that he correctly notes. All right, and the up thrust is testing supply to the left, which it should do. Frost, one thing I'm noticing is it's a little hard to see, but the white is demand, or sorry, the white is, yeah, demand. There's a low volume through phase A and B, nothing to do here. And then Eric's identified phase C. He sees this break here on a pop of volume, good observation. There's also another test here on this area, the spring-like area here. And then if you notice, Frost, there's a little supply bar here on the lowest demand or lowest supply, which would confirm to me that there's disconfirmed supply. This disconfirms the selling pressure. So there's a lack of selling pressure that's likely to move this trade up. What I do like about Eric is he's buying at structure. So this is support. He's buying in here. He's got a position here. Not sure, Frost, where his stop loss is, but you're probably somewhere down in here for a stop loss position or even under support. Eric's adding a position on here. All right, adding position. And then once he gets this traffic area right here, this selling, Eric trims and then finally exits here. So let me just clean this up a little bit. Eric took advantage of this swing here. I would say, Frost, that Eric used the up thrust as his out point. Right here, he says, I'm using this up thrust. A couple things. Buyers are trapped here, and they're going to want to sell their shares when it comes back to the same level. So I would always expect to see selling in this area. And he may have moved out a little too prematurely, because remember, if this is in fact accumulation, the target zone for us is going to be this area here, this level right here. So I would have maybe stayed in this a little bit longer to see if in fact there is more testing here and then up and out through this section right here. So safe trade for Eric, buying at support, maybe left a little too early. Not sure where stop losses are. But again, with this lack of volume, I would expect more testing to confirm accumulation before I actually got out of this trade. Frost, anything to add?
Okay, well, great analysis, Eric. Just a couple quick things that I want to point out. First of all, this is a downtrend, we can see, and look at how the downtrend concludes. We see, it's kind of hard to see, but there's a significant amount of both supply and demand coming in here, but at this final conclusion, look how low volume is. That seems a little bit interesting to me, and I would definitely pick up on that. And then there's so basically what's happening is we're just running out of sellers here at the lows. And then we get this, as Eric pointed out, change of behavior, and look at the subsequent amount of selling that comes in here. But what does it achieve? It comes down to the previous area of support and basically runs out of steam. And then we have exhaustion all the way across this area. So to me, this is characteristic of phase A and phase B behavior. And I would be thinking, what is my intention if I was going to trade this? What's my intention in this trade? Am I looking for a sign of strength rally, or am I looking for more of just a swing within a developing structure? But I think it's great that Eric P. was able to figure out that this is a major change of bias, because we've been in this big downtrend and all of a sudden we're stabilizing, and he's changing from, what would be a short seller's approach in this area to going long and trading it on some sort of a swing. So over to you, Eric.
Thank you. So in terms of looking at resolution, let's just go one more time. Here, we actually took this trade and did a little more analysis. We had the benefit of finding this time frame, and Eric took a great trade through this area here, and he admitted he came in this trade late, which happens a lot. It happens to me all the time. You don't see all this price action, you enter in here. So Eric took the benefit of this swing here. You can see what actually did happen. It came back to an LPS position here, and then volume, Frost, starts picking up here. So look at the momentum that's created here. A good breakthrough structure, goes all the way through, never comes back to test this area because there's just too much momentum, but does have a shakeout here that spooks people, and then continues to the upside. So even if Eric got out here, there may have been an opportunity to come back in here and take this whole trend up to the upthrust, or at least this break, and exit. Frost, any comments on that?
Sure. I just think it's a really interesting point that you make there, Eric, that we want to recognize the whole volume structure of our consolidation ranges, because typically in phase A and B at the beginning, there's a high amount of volume activity where buyers and sellers are changing the ownership. And then we go through a period where volume is low, and we can see that across this area where it's basically exhaustion by both buyers and sellers. And when we see this kind of a rally on such low volume, it might be a clue that this isn't yet our strength or our sign of strength rally, which, as Eric pointed out, here is the volume signature that indicates that. And this particular trade ended up going a tremendously amount higher. So it was a great pick by Eric P. It was a great identification of a change of bias. And hopefully, Eric P., you stayed with this. And as Eric C. pointed out, there's plenty of additional opportunities for swings here if you're a swing trader. And again, and this went to much higher highs after this area and here as well. So why don't we take a look now real quick at the trade variance, and what do you think about the bias? I think he definitely got that correct. What do you think, Eric?
Yep, I think so. Absolutely.
Okay. The timing for a swing, depending on the intention, I'd give him a yes. Or if it was more of a, trying to catch the sign of strength, I can see why it would say maybe 1 out of 2 on that. The character, I would actually disagree. I don't think this was necessarily, it was a swing, but it wasn't where the real character, the real aggressive move is going to come. So maybe 50-50 on that. The point of entry, I like it, as Eric pointed out earlier. It's at support, which is where we'd like to get in after some sort of spring-like activity. So not all breaks of support are springs, but in this case it was, so good point there. Stop loss, yes. Add-ons. The add-on to me is just maybe adding to the initial position rather than an add-on later in the swing. So I could see that, and trimming, and the exit was okay, definitely for this swing. So overall, the variance that Eric P is giving himself is 75%. I think my scoring might be a little bit lower, but overall a good trade. What do you think, Eric?
Yeah, no, good trade. I guess a couple things. Let the trade breathe. As you come out of phase C, which we saw, you're going to see retesting, certainly at the up thrust, so expect that. Don't spook yourself too early on these. Look for good confirmation of where the trade's going to go. And if you see significant structure breaks, that's when you make your moves, because this had lots of room to breathe into an LPS and then up and out after that. Overall, I think safe trade, good trade. The other thing for Eric P, you didn't show it in this chart, but if you could get back in and enter on that LPS, that would have been even better. Franz?
Awesome. Okay, well, thanks, Eric. And we've concluded another session of Anatomy of a Trade. Hope everybody enjoyed it. Put your comments and or likes in the area below in the YouTube screen, and we will see you next time. Thanks, Eric.
See you. Thank you.